over the centre's 2,000-foot-high plateau, shimmering in the heat, there's that mysterious phenomenon, density altitude, the thin air which makes an aeroplane strangely reluctant to leave the ground. To fly in these conditions, Eddie Connellan became a do-it-yourself designer and an innovator out of sheer necessity. Many of his aeroplanes were modified beyond the designer's wildest dreams.
The Heron was the biggest modification program that we've ever carried out. It was underpowered, like all, as I say, all English aeroplanes of those days were underpowered because they were built for a temperate climate. One English aeroplane that the manufacturer's Miles, who's a great designer, the Miles Aerovan, tried very hard to sell me. I wrote to him and I said, well, if you bring it here on a hot day in the middle of summer and put it on the bitumen north of Alice Springs with a full load, and if you can get it off the ground by the time you get to Tennant Creek, 320 miles away, I'll buy it. And I wasn't taking any risk at all because it was so underpowered. But the Heron was underpowered. The Queen 30 engines were supposed to be 250 horsepower, but they lost power very rapidly with temperature and with altitude. And a full load with Queen 30 engines required, technically by the charts, 5,000 feet or more of runway to get off on a hot day in this area. And you just don't have 5,000 foot strips around on stations, 3,000, 4,000 feet. So then I looked around for something else and I decided that the best engine in the world of its size, the straight, ungeared, unsupercharged Lycoming, was the engine to build it around. Then I went around the world trying to find somebody interested. But at the same time I had to get the Havilands interested because no one could attempt this job without the blessing of de Havilands. They'd have to have all the drawings and design data of the aeroplane. And de Havilands wouldn't give it. I met the designer of the Heron, a man named Herod Hemsrall, a very nice gentleman, but he was adamant that this couldn't be done, that if you put more power in the Heron, it would fall to pieces.
But Connellan had a great deal more confidence in the British Heron than its designer. He persevered and finally convinced de Haviland that they'd produced a better aeroplane than they realized. Before modification, each Heron was re-sparred, which means replacing every structural stressed member reposing out of sight within the aircraft's skin. 1,000 skilled man-hours go into each wing. Such a task would daunt many a well-equipped aero manufacturer in more temperate latitudes. But to attempt it in 2 hangars in the middle of a desert with 1,000 miles of nothing in any direction was a brave decision indeed. Four powerful engines are installed, up-to-the-minute navigation and autopilot equipment fitted, and the new Connellan Heron is reborn, 12,000 miles from home.
Well, the performance of the converted Heron, the Lycoming Heron, briefly, is that with the Lycoming engines, its aerodrome runway length requirement on a hot day with a full load here is reduced from 5,000 feet to 2,400 feet. Its cruising speed is increased by 35, 40 miles an hour without any increase in its fuel consumption. And because the engines are lighter, its payload is increased by as much as 800 pounds, or alternatively its range. It can carry a full load of passengers and freight for very long range compared with the original Heron. It's a very fine aeroplane. In fact, I would think that the Lycoming Heron is the finest aeroplane in its class.